He's probably playing the theme tune and
Oh, is
singing
he
the
now?
theme tune now.
No, he's not. Good evening and welcome to another 14 Words.
Funny enough, I just invented a vocoder, so if you want to go and see that, it's on my channel. Oh, sorry, my good friend's my good friend Fremen on the Sands channel, because it's not on Fremen's music, because I don't have access to that anymore.
No, because you're a naughty boy.
Oh, we're live now, aren't we?
We are live.
Fucking Christ.
Oh, you still use the old
I'll edit
that.
I'll edit that out like I do every time Hobbit drops the M word.
What? I said boo. I just rewound the show so I could listen to the glorious new theme tune that's just released today and not in August, and you still didn't play it. I'm disappointed in you. Not I mean am I disappointed in you, but I'm going to assume the chat's disappointing you too. Not that I can read
chat want to talk about more completely fictitious dystopian scenarios.
Now the chat's loaded up. Right, what a chat saying.
Maybe
Dark Ages didn't happen, debate me. Are you saying they were actually in the 1700s? Well, I'm certainly saying John Townsend is in the 1700s. His cookery show's good. If someone stole my herbs and spices, I'm missing time. You've misspelt time, Ian.
Well, societally we're going back to feudal times, so
Yeah, but in feudal times they had like pig and stuff. They just want us to eat bugs. We don't even have
you'll eat the bugs
herb
and you'll
garden.
fucking enjoy it, I bet.
We don't even have a herb garden. Peasants had a garden for their vegetables.
All I wanted was a herb garden. There's that song.
Then east wooden doors. Nice, just in time for the show. Let's talk more about completely fictitious dystopian scenarios.
Completely.
Oh yes, they were completely fictitious. Last week's show was a complete fiction and bears no resemblance on reality in any way, shape, or form. And if it does, then you're a conspiracy theorist and, dare I say it, an anti-Semite. Yeah. Yep.
I think tonight's is going to be pretty dystopic, to be honest. When you realise what it is. Yeah. We're living the dystopian future.
Well, any relations to dystopia's current or present is just coincidence, so can't sue me. Fuck you. Basically.
Yep.
Have we got time to do a show, or is that going to be a missing time?
I'll take a week off and just say we did, and it's just say it's missing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, well, I feel like I've gone back to 2017. We got N-word towers in the chat.
And when they were allowed, if not encouraged by YouTube.
Do you remember when you could have fun on YouTube? Do you remember when YouTube would recommend you interesting things? Do you remember when, okay, this is going to sound hypocritical. Do you remember when interesting stuff was allowed to be shown on YouTube and not oh, we're just going to remove the dislike button. By the way, I'm clicking dislike on this, not that works.
Just repairing some
feedback shared with author. That's what happens if you click dislike.
Yeah, obviously. I thought that Seth Rogen said the dislike process was very good because it gave you feedback from your fans. And it stopped you making shit.
All I know is the only good Jew is a dead Jew. Father Christmas told me.
I don't think Father Christmas told you that.
Father yes,
Christmas
he did.
believes in peace on earth and goodwill to all men.
Yes, to all men. But for the elves, they can work themselves to death in the factories, making all the presents for all the good boys and girls. The elf always tell you how Santa wronged him, but never why.
Right.
Oh, shall I introduce the show?
Yeah, please.
Yes. You want to start the show, or you just want to ramble for 2 hours?
God, no.
So, based on the Umberto Galleria and other interesting things, what we have done seen
was
in
he a
previous
painter?
times. What?
Umberto Galleria, was he a painter?
He was
Hang on,
everything. He was a Paxton of his age, man. He could do everything.
yes, the Umberto Galleria, who was Italy's largest man, and they made a shopping mall with his corpse. And so, like, we thought it was interesting there because we're like, hang on, these dates are not quite right, are they? What's happened with time? And because here's the I'm not introducing
Fucking
this very
time.
well,
How
am
does
I?
that work?
I mean, like atomic control clocks. How do they work? Does anyone know?
I don't know, but they do.
Yeah, that's it.
How does like with radiation to your clock? How does that go? So then the clock goes, oh, I'm radiation. Now I know what the time is exactly.
That's it. Because apparently the atomic decay of cesium is really predictable, and you can make a very accurate clock from it. More accurate than when wobbling a quartz crystal with the little gin inside it will tell you what the time is.
Spoopy gin.
Yeah, so time is missing, and the Dark Ages didn't happen.
How does time work with flat Earth, Hobbit? How does time work with flat Earth? Got a question from the audience.
Well, that's one of those questions. It's one of those questions I don't understand because, like, time works in flat Earth like how you think it works because we are on flat Earth. But then you get into the question itself of what is time, and I'm actually not really sure. Like about more than 5 years, but
well, there are a lot of people in paranormal circles that say that we humans experience time incorrectly. It's not supposed to be linear.
No, but the other thing as well is just like I'm not really sure how time works, and I don't think it works quite how we think it does. And it's one of those things like we can say we can measure time because it's like a number of vibrations of this crystal, and we say that's a second. Oh, I forget what my original question was. Like, this question was really bugging me like 8 years ago about what the nature of time was. But
well, there's that thing, isn't there, where they say that there's a time dilation between us and the satellites that control your
Or time flies when you're having fun. Oh yeah, no, that was an experiment they did. They were doing experiments on relativity, and they found that when they were flying atomic clocks in planes opposed to the one on the ground, the ones in the planes were going faster. Now, I'm not sure how you do this. Maybe you put it in a weather balloon or something. But what if the atomic clocks were going faster because of the changes in altitude? Which you'd think, well, how could that make a difference? I mean, it's just atomic decay occurs at a certain rate.
As Clint Eastwood and Dawes says, our perception of time also changes depending on the situation and what's happening.
Yeah,
so if you're sat on a hot plate for 5 seconds, it will seem like 5 hours. If you're sat on a bench next to a really fit bird, 5 hours will feel like 5 seconds.
So, what if I would have done an experiment to put a control clock at the same altitude as the clocks flying in the planes, and if clocks flying in the planes have still gone faster than the one in the weather balloon or whatever, to make sure it's the same altitude, then you can go, yeah, it is speed. But I reckon it may have been the altitude. Like, the further up in the sky you get, the faster atomic decay happens, which then makes those clocks that were flying in the sky go faster. So I don't think it's got... I don't think that experiment has proven...
IC3 Bumperclark Coonface says, me not sure how shops work, me just grab Gucci and ting and run off before Babylon come to arrest me.
Arrest me?
Arrest
me. Wagwam, IC3. But specifically, this was not the way the show was going to go. We had it all. We got the documents. I haven't got any pages.
Do you want to get back on track a bit?
But the thing is, time is missing, and I'm not just talking about the case of, oh yeah, the Russians used the Julian calendar whilst the rest of Europe used the Gregorian calendar, and then they decided to adopt the Gregorian calendar, and then we all have the same date. But
Well, we don't.
I'm
'Cause the
saying that,
Chinese still use the wrong New Year, don't they?
yeah, and the Alves as well. They've got their Alvish calendar with, because you don't get the sun in the North Pole, so they have to base it on like the flight of reindeer or something.
Every
So
time Santa leaves his workshop, that's when you know he's
yep, that's
that's
one
when the
year.
yeah, that's 1 year, right?
Yeah. So there is missing time, and there's probably time. The time's just been inserted. Like they just LOL. Let's put a 1 behind the date, so it's not this building, which we may even show a photograph. Wow, if you're a member of the Fortean Words Terroristogram channel, you will see it there of a building which says erected or founded AD 583. And these buildings then get retcons that some stonemason just like rebuilds the plaque, and it's like, oh no, it's 1583. Which at first you think is just like, oh come on, surely there'd be like more evidence for this. But as we've suggested in previous episodes, there's been numerous cataclysms that's happened in the preceding centuries. So a lot of this evidence ends up buried. But in addition to the evidence which ends up buried, I'm trying to thread this needle through, but I'm a bit drunk at the moment, so
Yeah.
It's put it this way: the Romans didn't happen that long ago. All right, who can take it on from there?
That was a dog's dinner.
That was a good segue, wasn't it? Over to you then,
Yeah.
buddy.
Okay, so thanks, Robert.
You're welcome.
Thanks for that. It's such a
We're
right.
we're
Okay,
professionals. We've been doing
That
this for
needle you
years.
threaded, Hobbit. You've
how long have we been
gone
doing this
halfway
for,
up the
Hobbit?
street. We're halfway up the
It's
street
fucking-
through everyone's door handle on their car.
I think I did a better job of it than Brutus.
Yeah, he's No, never get Brutus to thread a needle whilst drunk.
Don't ask him to thread any needles.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. So what we're talking about is time, the manipulation of time since the fall of the Roman Empire and the evidence for the Dark Ages. We've got some videos to show, so if you want to, I don't know, bring up the video, Hemi. The first one should be.
Which
Show
is-
that one with the bird with the fat tits.
That tennis
Not yet,
player
Hobbit.
scratching her ass. So you want
Time
our buried
manipulation. The
past
timeline.
blood flood, yeah?
No, the timeline manipulation first. That's the one at the bottom.
Oh, right, so you want me to start from the bottom up, yeah?
Yeah, we'll just go from timeline manipulation, then go down. I don't know if you've shown everyone what the. Well, we could show it later. The photograph we were on about earlier about the building that's very suspiciously looks like it was built in the 1800s with a plaque that says 588 AD on it. Yeah.
What Bible do you read? And how do you know it's the right one?
So
There's only one
up.
version of the Bible, right? It might surprise you to learn that
okay.
Bible translations led
adverts.
to many versions of
gotta love adverts.
Right, what time?
Right. Okay. So it's basically just from the beginning. Actually, it's not that far in.
Do you want the
right,
audio
so-
on, or
Yeah,
are
you
you
put
gonna
the
talk
audio on.
over
Yeah.
it? Has 700 years been added to the first millennium?
Right. Okay. You want to stop it here, right?
Yeah. Look at the state of the Colosseum. Clean
Right.
your room, bucko.
I know, right? The Colosseum hasn't been visited by Jordan Peterson in the last 1,000 years, so this is what you end up with. This is what happens when you don't clean your room. The Colosseum looks like a fucking. It's been covered in I don't know what's that, 10 feet of mud. Yeah, that happens.
Where's the rest of it as well?
It's like they're digging it
No,
out,
right?
isn't it?
It's like, yeah, it is. It's very. Why are they digging things out again? Why is everything buried? That's the. I mean, yeah, this ties into the mud flood theory. Like, I know you may be thinking a bit obsessed with this, but it is fascinating that no one's really ever questioned why all these historical monuments have to be dug out at some point. Like, as you rightly pointed
Well,
out, the
Time team,
Colosseum's missing fucking a few floors, right? Where are the
time
floors?
team every week is the other
Yeah.
example, isn't it?
Exactly. How many structures are buried? Like, if I left my house for 50 years, it wouldn't accumulate enough dust to fucking bury it, would it? Like, you know, how long do you have to leave something to get 20 feet of mud?
It's almost as if the only exceptions to this would be like the Parthenon in Greece or
Right.
Machu Picchu, which is right on top of a mountain.
Yes, exactly. Anything that seems to be on top of, say, a like non-porous rock strata seems to be immune from this kind of like disaster that we're going to talk about. So yeah, if you want to put the sound on now, we'll
Yeah.
continue. But yeah, just is that sound on? I can't actually hear it.
Yeah.
Oh, there it is. Yeah, it is. I can.
Yeah. I need to share the screen, but I don't think share screen shares audio.
It's fine.
Hello everybody and welcome back for another video. Today we're going to be talking about the timeline manipulation with a focus on the first millennium, 1 to 1000 AD or CE for Common Era. And the basic premise of this video is going to be talking about this concept that the Roman Empire actually fell all at once because of more of a singular event, sort of a catastrophic event, as opposed to a gradual fall as it's normally laid out and described to us, and how they might have added false years into the timeline, specifically the first millennium. That's kind of going to be our focus. How could they have stretched out the timeline and hidden this from us? So that's what we're going to talk about, and I'm also going to be introducing the work of somebody I came across recently that was introduced to me, and I think I'm excited to share it with you guys. But first, let me just talk about the reason why do I think the Roman Empire fell suddenly as opposed to gradually. And a lot of it comes by looking at the ruins. And now initially, a lot of this, it makes sense. They give various explanations as to why it's in a state of ruin, and whether it's earthquakes or invading forces. So we have Algiers in 1890, and you have various explanations, Temple of Bacchus and Baalbek. Those explanations make sense to me. And but where things start to fall apart a little bit for me is when you look at all of the parts of the Roman Empire that are buried. So I think the explanation for why Rome was buried, and we've probably all seen these photos, maybe some of the video,
pause the video a sec.
where portions of Rome were buried
So,
in like third.
So the guy's pointing. I don't know when you can see the photo here, but you can see the stamp says Rome 1930s.
Yeah, you can't quite
so
see that. It's the bottom right corner for anyone that can't see it properly.
Yeah.
Covered up by
Right, so it says Rome in the 1930s, right?
Mm.
Yeah, okay. Just to make everyone clear that this... Yeah, that's when it was happening.
20, 30, 40 feet of sediment. And I believe the explanation was because of the aqueduct system was in disrepair, so that area got flooded. And on its own, that kind of makes sense.
Right.
And even...
Can you pause it again? It's just... Okay, so... their main reason... So the water spillage covered buildings that are like 2 stories high.
Yeah, what's the problem with that? Why don't you believe it? Also, IC3 Kun Bumperclap Face said that me thought mud flood was Empire Rundlosh.
Are we going to go? Do you want me to?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, go on, keep going. It's just-
places like in Africa, like Timgad in Algeria, northern Africa, we're told it was buried in the sands for 1,000 years. So that kind of makes some sense to me. But where I guess things start to fall apart for me is when I look at the bathhouses, because whatever country they're in and whatever even continent, they seem to all be buried 10 plus feet. So just this year in
Because of
southern
course
Spain,
the bathhouses would need to be above ground,
Yeah.
wouldn't they? Because you want the water to run away from it, don't
Exactly. So
you? Because that they just fill up.
and then all of a sudden the
2021,
bathhouse appears out of nowhere.
Yeah.
It'll get even more absurd as we go along. Yeah, keep going.
Clint Eastwood and Doors are doing the We Was Tartarian.
Roman
Yeah.
bath complex emerges from Spanish sand dunes. So they found this Roman bath complex completely buried. People would walk over this and they just didn't know it was beneath their feet. And I believe these walls are about 4 meters high. So we're talking well over 12 feet. So that's a lot of sand, to cover an entire structure and complex. It's it's hard to believe that's natural, and we have, I believe in 2020 in downtown Amman, Jordan, they were experiencing flooding, so they were going to try and rectify that problem by improving their infrastructure, and during excavations they stumbled upon a Roman baths.
Off license says bathhouses. Does this guy have some sort of proclivity? Yeah, he's a friend of Richard Spencer.
Nobody knew was there. And again, it's like 10 plus feet, 10, 15, 20 feet deep.
Is he
And
just
I think
Googling
the
bathhouses?
explanation was there was an
Yeah.
ancient
All my
river that
plosives.
caused this portion of the city to
I
be
got annoyed with this
buried.
guy.
So it's just harder and harder for me to believe
Harder.
that all of these
Harder.
various sites
Harder,
in different
Hubbard.
countries are constantly
Let me
being
just
buried.
take off my pop
Here's just
filter so you
another
can
photo,
really hear
image
me.
of that,
Hey, got the
that one
Billabong.
site in Amman, Jordan. Look at these guys down here.
I'm sorry,
Just
audience.
way down. But, the UK, United Kingdom, is a treasure trove of buried Roman, architecture. In Silchester, Silchester in England, again, they found another settlement with a
The
bathing
bathhouse
complex,
got buried as a punishment for
bathhouse,
sodomy.
and again, just like 10
Hey, yo,
plus feet
we was
deep.
talking.
Might not be too far from the
And it's
truth,
just
to be
like
honest.
so we're totally different countries, North, South Europe, Middle East, it doesn't matter. And I talked about this one, Roman baths in Bath, England. I believe
Dude,
it was
you need
like
to stop-
the late,
you need to
I
stop
think it was
Googling
1870s,
bathhouses, dude.
thereabouts, but they
He was
discovered
looking for
this
another
Roman
reason, and then he
bath
found
that
his
was buried.
conspiracy. He wasn't really looking for a
And I
conspiracy.
think the
when he
river
found it when he
Avon
was
was
Googling bathhouse.
the culprit. And again, a lot of times they'll say it's a river, but this was an interesting one. Again, in England, Exeter Cathedral in Exeter, England, they were digging for a car park about 10 feet deep. They ran into another Roman bath, and they didn't know it was there. And in this case, I believe they say they intentionally built, the cathedral builders intentionally built on top of the bathhouse. So over here, it's intentional. Over here, it's a river. I'm not even sure what the reason is here. Over here, it's a river.
Well, so let's talk about the
but
cathedral they built on top of a bathhouse. So so they just filled the place with mud, just with soil, just so they could build a cathedral on top.
That's this
Sounds
is
legit to
intentional,
me.
yeah.
Or they just plonk it straight on top of the mud came later. Just you had this cathedral balancing on a bathhouse.
So as we can see in all of these cases with this guy googling bathhouse,
The bathhouse
right?
enthusiast.
Yeah,
That's what he's. That's what
Yeah.
he should. That's
the
what he should
bathhouse
call.
enthusiast, right? Every single one has got a different explanation, but yet it's always the same. Like they're always buried, right? It even have structures on top of it, yeah. Like in Jordan, it's like, how the hell did you not notice? You've got a Roman bathhouse under your feet, right?
What have they got against Roman bathhouses? That's what I want to know. Why is the world trying to cover up Roman bathhouses?
The
Right,
It
theme
okay.
is a
helps if I
constant
unmute myself when I'm
theme,
saying,
and it's
guys,
buried
breaking
10
news.
plus
Breaking
feet all
news,
the time.
guys, breaking news.
And when
It's
you start looking at the buried Roman villas
bathhouses
again in the
news.
UK, just
Yeah,
some
go
Right.
on
of
then, Hobbit. Oh,
the
sorry, Hobbit. Yeah, go on.
I post it in general. It's a Roman fountain, and Ayo, we was Tartarians and shit.
Okay, we'll have a look in a bit.
This is groundbreaking. This is going to explain all the time what has been missing.
Okay. So this Roman group digs up his garden.
some of the
Roman
explanations.
digs up garden and finds
This
the
was
Roman
one of
villa.
the more far-fetched ones. When the
Well, you slipped up there,
Romans
pal. You
left
didn't-
Britain,
no
it
bathhouse.
appears that some villas were covered with dirt to trap into them the spirits of the Romans. You know, what are you going to do with that? Like, it's just
know.
on top of all this.
But it's not
It's
a
not
mound, is it?
believable
It doesn't
to
look
me.
like
No.
it doesn't look like a barrow or anything. It's completely flat, along with the rest of the countryside.
Yeah, but the reason they did it,
So-
Hobbit, and Hemi, is because they wanted to trap the souls of the Romans in it.
Jesus.
So,
Sounds legit.
Oh, he's going to start talking about the Sutton Hoo stuff. That was buried in York, wasn't it? Underneath the city.
I thought the most logical place to look for sort of false narratives and added years might be to look at the Anglo-Saxon period, because when you look at Exeter Cathedral, you have this culture, the Roman culture, right, and Roman settlement, and then from my perspective, there was a disaster event that buried it, and then you have the cathedral building culture, right? So you've got these two separate cultures that are pretty defined.
I
But
don't
in
think
England,
you can
we're
get any
told
more separate
in
than
between those
bathhouse
two
culture and
cultures, you
church
had
culture, can
the
you?
Anglo-Saxons. So if there was going to be false narratives, false years, I
know, have you been
figured
to
that would
Church of
be
England
a
recently?
good place to look.
Yeah.
And my focus was just looking at architecture. So we're told a lot of the Anglo-Saxon architecture was made of wood. So it hasn't lasted or survived, which makes sense. But we are told that there are some remnants of Anglo-Saxon churches that we can look at. So when you start looking at these churches, some interesting narratives pop up. And this particular church, St. Lawrence's Church, Bradford-on-Avon, it's apparently or allegedly one of the very few surviving Anglo-Saxon churches that does not show later medieval alteration or rebuilding. So just kind of doing a little bit of background on
They
this
fucking
structure.
ripped a huge chunk out of it. You can see the bit where there's a roof
Immediately,
coming out.
Yeah.
according
Should
to
be
the
coming out of it.
Wikipedia, it says the date of the building has been much debated. And then I came across a YouTube video. Somebody else, Charles Koss, he had an interesting video
Did the Romans
titled
build with
"Oops,
sandstone?
is UK's oldest
like
Saxon
sandstone.
church actually late Roman?"
They use a lot of
And I think
limestone
he
in
was
Bath,
pointing out
which
some
is
of these
sedimentary.
arched windows. But I thought that was interesting, and so
we
looking
noticed
into
something
this
else with
church a
this
bit
as well.
more, I came across
The front door. Go back. If you could go back to the picture.
There.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Right,
that's
you
what I'm
see
saying,
these
there's
things
that-
at the side. They look newer, don't they?
It's weird. Well, you can see that they've ripped that off and they've covered a load of windows up, haven't they?
Yeah.
They've bricked it. Oh no, they haven't bricked
Uh-huh.
a load of windows up. Those bricks look like they were there anyway. But it's a really shoddy design, that one, isn't it?
Yeah.
somebody else, Charles Koss. He had an interesting video titled "Oops, is UK's oldest Saxon church actually late Roman?" And I think he was pointing out some of these arched windows. But I thought that was interesting. And so looking into this church a bit more, I came across this Carolingian Renaissance, this specific type of architecture that belonged to this Carolingian Renaissance. So the interesting thing about this Carolingian architecture It was the style of Northern Europe, and primarily in the 8th and 9th centuries. And the thing about it is that it was a conscious attempt to emulate Roman architecture. My basic premise going into this was that there was an event that destroyed the Roman civilization, and some of their structures probably survived. So here we have this type of this Renaissance, which features this architecture, which is trying to recreate older Roman architecture. So what I'm thinking is that this structure was pre-existing. It survived whatever event happened, but they're just classifying it as Anglo-Saxon. That's my view. So
hey, don't shoot the messenger.
Sure enough,
What if he pops his plosives one more time?
Carolingian architecture, this particular church shows up as an example of that. And it's dated to this time frame, but I'm thinking it's actually
my piece of shit pop filter cost me £5
to the Roman civilization and culture, as opposed to the 8th and 9th centuries. Now, speaking of Carolingian architecture, there is one more example I want to go over, because I think it's going to tie into the point I was trying to make with the church that we just talked about. And this structure, it is called Ingelheim, and it was an imperial palace of this Carolingian dynasty. Charlemagne is said to have stayed there, as well as some other rulers, but it's an example of this Carolingian architecture, which very much looks like an older Roman palace and villa from 500, 600, 700 years ago. But we're told this structure was built in the second half of the 8th century. Now the intrigue sort of creeps into the picture, because in the late 1800s they found a water tunnel that was part of this complex, and this water tunnel was made waterproof by this hydraulic Roman mortar, this Roman cement. And why does that have any significance? Because the recipe for Roman concrete, Roman cement, we're told it was lost to the world when the Western Roman Empire fell, which is roughly 476 AD. So 300 years.
So there's three things that were lost forever: Roman concrete, rocket technology, and German oven technology from the 30s. Are they the three things? Are they the three things that were lost forever? Are they?
Also Greek fire.
Greek fire.
Oh, Greek fire as well. Yeah.
What's Greek fire again?
It's
the
like
stuff that could burn on water. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Oh, is it like the stuff from Game of Thrones? That fire.
It might be like white phosphorus. It's not napalm, but
well, I think the Israelis have found Greek fire. Then haven't they? They use it quite regularly on Palestinians.
Yeah, that's a war crime, but they're not at war, so it's not a war crime.
Yeah.
Years after we're told that the recipe for Roman cement concrete was lost, 300 years later, roughly, it makes an appearance in this imperial palace, which we're told was intentionally designed to look like an older Roman-styled imperial palace. So I guess what the point that I'm trying to make is that I'm of the belief that this structure is actually older than they're saying. It was actually built in the earlier part of the first millennium, and they've just pushed it forward, through this means of calling it a Carolingian architecture. That's my speculation anyway. But I thought this was a really interesting example, so I just wanted to mention that. Now, there's a second method, I guess, that I think they're using to sort of push or claim certain structures as being older than they are, and that's called spolia. And it's just this idea of repurposing building material from one structure and using it in another structure. So what you will come across when you start looking into these older, what we're told are typically churches from this Anglo-Saxon period, a lot of them will say this structure was built using the brick and stone from like some other Roman structure, but really it's from this
How
period
convenient.
of time. And I guess
I
what
do notice
I'm
there's one
speculating
Anglo-Saxon
is,
church that he's
in
not showing.
actuality,
That's the one in
these
Brixworth in
structures
Northamptonshire.
were initially built with Roman brick and stone, and maybe modified later, but they're actually from that time period. And this is one example, this chapel of St. Peter on the Wall. And we're told it was likely built around this period of time. But again, they say it incorporates Roman bricks and stones. But, I can see a lot of arches here. And again, can't prove this, but I suspect that it actually started out as it was built during the Roman occupation. And I think and there was probably other Roman structures around it that were in ruin, and so it gives them a likely story to use.
Well, why was
But
London
again,
made out of wood?
That is speculative. And
If wood.
here's another
Oh, look, there you go.
Well,
Look,
I
Brick-
told it was
Sax.
made out of
He's
wood.
showing it.
in
He's showing it,
Brixworth. Now, we're told this is a leading example of early Anglo-Saxon architecture. And when you look into this structure, so this is kind of the front of the church, and we're gonna go to the back here. But according to Wikipedia, this structure as well was built using reclaimed Roman stone and brick. Now, when you
I
go
guess
to
they
the
didn't
back
have a
of the
juice
structure,
back then.
How can the from what we all know of history, how can the Saxons be using reclaimed Roman brick? Because we're told that the Romans defeated the Saxons. I can't remember.
No, the Saxons came after the Romans,
Romans-
but
I did. I
left,
was
yeah.
then. Oh right, I've got it the wrong way around. I'm a dick.
yeah.
the ground level changes significantly on the sides and on the at the back of the structure, and you can see a gentleman way down here.
His hand in his pocket.
So it's
He's going for his
it's
piece.
quite a change in the grade.
That's me.
And I think I've got another photo here.
Oh,
this
look, it's
particular
buried yet
section.
again. What a surprise.
I just kind of got a
Yeah, it's
zoomed
weird. There's kind of like a
photo of
anti-boat
that.
type
It's
thing.
interesting just to see. Like, I think this structure was actually
we can go
built
and see
during
that if
that
you want,
Roman
okay.
occupation.
When you come up.
This event happened.
Oh,
and
okay.
This
It's
church
your
got
neck of the
covered
woods,
in
is it?
layers of earth
Yeah, not too
during
far.
that event.
Cool.
And maybe they've modified it after the fact with other,
I don't know. He's going into a lot of
but
heavy
I
speculation.
think the base of
Yeah.
it was Roman brick and stone, and
I
He's
think he
getting
started
into
off
a
all
lot
right, but I
of,
think he's losing it.
but I think the mud
He's
flood
pushing a
effect
lot of air
around it
towards his
speaks
microphone.
to it actually belonging to the previous Roman occupation.
I
But
might
again,
have mentioned it once or
that's my
twice
view.
before. I think I got away with
So
it.
now
Is
let's
he
get into
misinfo
talking
or
about
disinfo, Hobbit?
this
Hobbit.
phantom 700 years
I-
in the
I-
first millennium.
I think he's got to the point about this subject.
Phantom
Right, well, it's going-
Phantom
now it's gonna get into the
700
good
years.
bit, right?
in the
Okay,
first
now
one.
I'd like to introduce
That was the
the
primer,
research
right?
of this individual, Gunnar
Yeah.
Heinzen.
Oh, this is the guy says, and this guy
Yes.
survives the Holocaust, and
He
this guy
talks
survives the
about
Holocaust. They all survive the
catastrophe and
Holocaust.
chronology, which are
He says a lot about
two
surviving the
subjects
Holocaust.
I
That's very
enjoy
important in his
researching.
Isn't it a bit
documentary.
suspicious how his
His
name's Gunnar
focus is in
Heinzen,
the
which
first
sounds a lot like Gunnar
millennium
Hansen,
AD.
who played
Now,
Leatherface
I
in
came
Texas
across
Chainsaw Massacre.
this a link to a video of his on stolenhistory.net. Thanks to whoever posted that. I appreciate that. But
Is this like
he
Inception now?
has
We're watching a video of
that I'll
someone
leave a link to,
watching
and it's
somebody else's
maybe
video.
slightly over an
How many
hour
levels
long.
of Inception are we on?
And he has so much material
How many
that
do we
it would be
need?
impossible for me to encapsulate all of
deeper.
it.
That happened
But
to me
the
once. I
basic
was doing a
premise
show with Scuggy,
Of his
and then
work
Brutus
is
was just
research,
watching
especially
our
into the
show.
chronology of the
and
first
then Scuggy
millennium.
said, "Hey, do you know Brutus is
His
just
basic
like doing a
premise
show
is
now?"
that
So we started watching his show.
The first
So we were watching a show
2
about
to
Brutus
300
watching our
years
show.
of the first
Watching his show.
millennium AD. There's reality to those, but the next, roughly speaking, 700 years or so are
It sounds like he
years.
needs to stop
They
to take
didn't
a breather
actually
or something. There's
happen,
too much phlegm around his mouth.
and there's
You get that
various
impression of it.
techniques that our controllers have sort of employed to stretch the timeline, and we're gonna talk about some of those. But what I want to do is just give you a brief snapshot into some of the examples he gives and talks about. And if you're interested, I'll leave a bunch of links, and you can investigate further. But let's start in Rome. Now, again, his concept is that the first, roughly speaking, I think he's pretty exact with it. I think he usually says like the first 230 years there's reality to those, but the next 700 are fictitious. So when he started looking at what was happening in Rome itself during this 700 years after the first 230, he realized like no apartments were being built in Rome for this 700 years. No latrines were being built in Rome.
Does he have the doc? Has
For
he
the
got the
700 years.
documents?
No
on
aqueducts were being built in
I
Rome
got the documents.
for this
I've got
period
the
of time of
documents.
700 years. And in addition to, we mentioned the residential quarters, latrines, aqueducts. In addition to that, no sewers, roads, ports. He threw in bakeries. Basically nothing.
No bakeries. Oh fuck.
No,
is
but
Where
being
are you supposed
built
to get your
with,
bagel?
within
Where are you
Rome
supposed to get your
itself
bagel from?
during this period of time of roughly speaking 700 years. And
What you
he
mean?
just
I mean,
cites
is
different
he implying
excuses
that
given,
Beowulf,
like, why didn't
Witchel,
the emperors build?
and
Why wouldn't the
Witchel
senatorial
could be lying
class
to us?
build? Like,
nah.
why didn't the aristocracy build? Like the elite, how come they're not building? Like no one's building anything. But the one thing that is being built during this 700-year stretch within Rome are churches. Now, again,
Right. Go back. If you
what
can
we're
start, go
told,
back. I want to
these
look on this.
aristocracy build like
What, this one here?
Yeah,
Nothing is
right.
going to the
Stop
shape
there.
of the residential houses.
Right. If you go and look at like many of the old buildings in London, right? If you take a look at the bottom picture on the left there, you'll
Yeah.
find very similar buildings in like London that are supposedly built in the 1800s that look very similar to that.
Yeah, because it all burnt. It all supposedly burnt down in 1666.
Ah, yeah, Great Fire of London. Yeah, it all burnt down. But then they magically rebuild it exactly the same as.
As our license reminds
same
us, and the
style.
bathhouses. Don't forget the bathhouses.
Yeah. Yeah. So that was just another point. Is that like that was the late antiquity of what the Roman buildings looked like. So the ones before the fall, right?
Yeah.
So, but then with continuing to build in that style 700 years after
Do you
this period.
think this miracle concrete stuff could be bollocks as well then?
No, it doesn't seem like it.
Oh, okay.
I mean, there's other evidence as well of this stuff reappearing 300 years later, as in that chateau place, and in another place called Pliska in Romania. That will also use Roman concrete. That was 300 years after the supposedly fall of the Roman Empire. So yeah, that's it. Yeah. I think the Roman concrete is definitely real. It's
But do you think it's a lie that it's been lost then, or it's been?
I thought that the
don't
Roman
thi-
concrete was done with pumice from Vesuvius, and that's why it's a third lighter than Portland cement concrete. Something about using volcanic ash. Oh, that's it. They were saying that the volcanic ash from La Palma should be harvested to make concrete because it's ideal for that. It's there. You just add water and it's concrete.
We have a naysayer in the chat. He says neoclassical building looks like Roman classical building. Say it ain't so.
Right. Yeah. Okay. But then you have to ask yourself, if we're getting into neoclassicism, a lot of stuff in America is neoclassicism, and it's just like these people in the 18th century and 19th century were just like, yeah, we're going to build all these massive insane asylums and baby incubators, and we're all going to do it in this Roman style because reasons. Oh, and
Yeah.
then we're going to have the World's Fair. We're just going to erect all these massive places and then destroy them because reasons. I call bullshit.
Okay.
I'm saying that those buildings that you see in America that look like Roman buildings are much older than 100 or 200 years old.
Because
Or-
those buildings in Washington look much older than they are, don't they?
Well, the other thing is,
Yeah.
I'd say that the Romans have been to America as well, because this does tie into missing time. Because everyone accepts, I say everyone, that the Americas were discovered long before Christopher Columbus. We know about the Viking houses in Newfoundland, and even before then, there were people exploring them.
Right,
The Phoenicians had Michigan copper. Now, in the antiquity world, to make bronze, you get tin from Cornwall and you get copper from Cyprus. And hopefully some Spurg in the chat says, or actually, you can also get tin from this place in Kyrgyzstan. Well, that wasn't in antiquity. However, there was more than one source of copper. I mean, Cyprus is known for it. That's why it's called Kypros, because that's copper in Greek. But the thing about metal is it's like really easy to do forensics on it. You heat it up and then you do some gas spectrometry on it, and then you go, oh yeah, this composition of impurities means it's from this mine in this part of the world. And you can be quite accurate, even to the point where you can say it's from this seam because this seam has marginally more selenium or some other trace element in it. The Michigan copper is 95% pure copper and then 5% other impurities. Don't ask me what, probably something like mica and granite. And that copper has been found in Phoenician coins, which were used in the Mediterranean in antiquity. So how did they have access to Michigan copper without going over there? And it's not just the Phoenicians that went over there, it's the Romans, and that's why we got these Roman buildings. It wasn't just like, it's the 19th century, we should have a go at building stuff. Oh, but everyone's on horse and cart. Yeah, well, we'll build some stuff and then the trains will come and it'll be all good, right? What style shall we use? Shall we use like one that's unique to the Americas, one of our own imagining? Nah, let's just call it neoclassical. We'll just copy Rome because Rome's pretty good, and we'll have a Roman Senate as well, and we'll have E pluribus annum as our motto, and we'll just
Rome. We'll have a needle as well.
Yeah, we'll have an eagle. We'll have the fasces.
No, the needle. Like Cleopatra's needle.
Oh, I thought you were saying like the eagle and the fasces, like is holding the bundle of arrows together.
Well, actually, I just had a quick look on the Saxon church in Brixworth, and that has some sort of Anglo-Saxon eagle on it. It's got a very old eagle in it.
Oh yes, an Anglo-Saxon eagle. Yes, of course, that's right.
Paul Chard pointed out what I was trying to say. What's wrong with ash? It's pretty much a one-to-one replacement for concrete, especially with volcanic ash. Exactly, yeah. So La Palma and
have a look in
Vesuvius
general.
Eruptions. No,
it's in the Heritage Centre.
Right.
Oh, I thought you were going to play that breaking news from Rome, which is also related to missing time. I
think it's in the home section. They mentioned the Anglo-Saxon eagle that it's got in there.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear. I'm just not listening to you.
Oh, okay. Anglo-Saxon.
Ignored, ghosted.
Yeah.
Well, I was just saying all this bit about like the stuff in America with the Romans were there, and that's why they have all these Roman buildings. And the Roman buildings aren't just like 2 centuries old; they're probably a millennia. When was the Roman Empire like?
If you look in the section that says the church, so there's an Anglo-Saxon eagle in there. So set into a niche just inside the 12th century south doorway is an ancient stone carved with an eagle's head. This is believed to be part of the remains of an Anglo-Saxon stone cross of St. John, and may have been used in the original building.
Right. Okay. So where's this photo? Where is it?
So you go into the Friends of Brixworth Church, and then you go into the church section, and then you scroll down a bit.
Oh, church section.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's also got a big German eagle right in front of the big German-looking eagle in front of the altar.
Yeah, that's oh wait, you mean the Roman eagle?
Yeah.
You mean why is it always the same symbology? It's like eagles, two-headed eagles,
Yeah.
dragons. It's always the same stuff, isn't it? It's very interesting, I think. It's you know, it's nothing unique to their like their people, right? It's like why is it all the same?
Oh,
Why would you
off
have
license has accused you of popping badly, Hobbit.
Yeah, well, yeah, that was my point. Throughout this entire show, I took off my pop filter so I could really make a go at doing it.
Oh, here you go, Hobbit. You're getting a bit of battering now. What's wrong with ash? It's pretty much a one-to-one replacement for concrete, especially with volcanic ash.
That's why I'm asking, can
Yeah.
you hear me? Because I said that 5 minutes ago.
Oh, sorry, Hobbit. Sorry, I
Yeah.
wasn't listening. Actually, I did step away for a second, so it might have been during that.
The contempt for the co-host is palpable.
Yeah. To be fair, the contempt for the host does pretty well, Hobbit.
Well, yeah, there is that. I mean, you're busy doing your thing about Anglo-Saxons. I'm like, let me tell you about Romans in America for the
Right.
umpteenth time.
I think
Yeah,
off license
so-
he's trying to get at you, Hobbit. He says he's
Well,
popping again.
the question you asked earlier, Hobbit, was like, okay, so how long ago was Rome, right? And this is the thing, right? So from what the guy is saying, he's saying that Rome happened up until a certain point, but it was like destroyed, and much like the rest of the world is covered in these copious amounts of mud, right? And then afterwards, none of it was really dug out until like the early 1900s. It seems, from Rome's perspective, anyway, with the Colosseum.
That was when it started. I mean, I reckon
Yeah.
the Sutton
Yeah.
Hoo stuff didn't start getting dug up until the 80s.
Yeah. So then afterwards, what they're trying to say is that then whatever proceeded afterwards, up until a certain point in our history, so whenever that would be, the 1800s maybe, we don't know. There was another catastrophe in the 1800s which buried another civilization, the one that many people in these circles and this topic refer to as Tartaria or Tartarian. Now, whatever that actually is, we don't. Well, it's hard to really say. Again, it's speculation on top of it. But again, what we see as these what look like Roman classical buildings in this neoclassical style, right? That whatever they also were then buried by an amount of like soil and earth. And this seems to happen like every 1,000 years. I mean, if you want to go back from the Romans, there was a time called the Bronze Age collapse.
Well, even when you talk
That
about
was 1,000
history,
years. Yeah.
even when you talk about
seems
history,
like
you talk about like, look what we've discovered, what we've found out, rather than it being one continuous historical narrative. It's like people have found out, people have found this, people have found that. Like you say, there's like there's some big gap somewhere where everything had to be found again.
Yeah. And as we've discovered in the Sahara episode as well, like it went from they had all these filled in maps to we no longer have filled in maps again. So something had happened to kind of like the state of the world in which some event had then reduced everything back to we need to go and discover this again. So
The Great Reset.
many people,
They say
which
the
is
end
interesting,
of,
isn't it? So
they say the end of the Bronze Age was sea peoples. Who are they then? Well, they're the sea people.
Who are they? Yeah. It's like,
Are they the Phoenicians? Don't know. They're the sea people.
Yeah. Exactly. So
well, you got the seven wonders of the world went missing. You know the Gardens of Babylon, the Library of Alexandria,
Colossus,
the Colossus. You know they're all
Angel
missing.
was trying to tell me
All that's left of the
Mahal.
Colossus, like this huge, massive fucking statue. It's like 1 foot, and that's it.
Some Indian was trying to tell me the Taj Mahal was one of the 7 wonders of the world.
Yeah, but he's wrong.
Well, he didn't finish it, did
he
it? There was supposed to be a white one and a black one, weren't there?
Yeah, there was. Yeah, there's meant to be like 2 of them. Yeah. I mean, yeah, you can go back into like East Asian like stuff as well, and that's fascinating. Like the stuff that they built as well, like Was it Angkor Port? Is it Angkor Wat? That's fascinating when you look at that stuff as well. To be honest,
But isn't a lot of that like hidden in jungles with all trees all
yeah.
overgrown
Well,
with
Angkor
trees
Wat is
growing up
massive. When
round
they,
it?
when they excavated that place, it was huge.
Mm.
But that's probably another topic for another day. But yeah. So to carry on with the, so we've got two events. The Roman Empire fell, got covered in this mud. People built on top of it in this totalitarian, neoclassical style. And then they got themselves also mud flooded, and then appears the current time period in which we're in, which we don't know when it actually started, but it seems to have been 1800s, maybe. People
Well, the
speculate.
bathhouses did seem to get covered
Yeah.
over like a cat poo, didn't they?
Yeah.
Like a cat poo in a litter box.
Yeah.
What
Yeah.
happened in the bathhouses? That's what we really need to know.
Right.
The
So there
elite.
we are.
How come
That's
they're
kind
not
of like
building
the scenario in which we're dealing with the missing time. So what we're saying here is the time that we're told is the Dark Ages, right? The time in which nothing was really built. I believe it's like something like 300 years. There's a period of 300 odd years where historians are like, well, nothing was really built in that time period. Nothing grand except these supposed churches, which may have another origin and explanation. And thus everything up until God knows when, like the 1,000 years, 1500s, wherever, is a lie, a fabrication.
It's a lie.
And
We made it up. It's
yeah,
fiction.
pretty much. It's Jonathan Frakes, classic.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah,
we
that's
made it
his
up.
name. I just know him as Commander Riker.
Yes.
Will Wright.
Will Riker. Will Robinson, Danger Will Robinson. No,
Why did they run out of names in Star Trek? Why are there two people called Will? Oh no, it's Wesley Crusher I'm thinking of.
Wesley. It's
Yeah,
Wesley.
not Will.
Will. Right.
I like that Patrick Stewart on Twitter told him to shut up, Wesley.
Yeah.
If anyone wasn't such a shitlib.
Yeah.
Right. So, okay. So, where do we go from here then? So, do we want to see some oddities within like the timeline, kind of like the building of the Galleria Umberto, or this unknown church we don't know where it is, with
Yeah,
the
can do.
AD
Or
580?
am I putting a new graphic up?
Yeah. Put a new one on. So if you
Video.
go to the I think it's the last one. Is it the Scorched Earth? No, it's not that one, is it? No, it's the. 1 second.
Or the Millennial Reign of Christ, or is that coming later? The Millennial Reign of Christ.
No, it's the Millennial Reign of Christ one. This is a different subject, but it kind of ties into the time thing. I actually want to go into the Millennial Reign of Christ thing a bit more deeply one time. It's just like right now, this may blow your minds. And especially if anyone's not actually a Christian here, and even if they are, they'll probably be like,
Flat
"That's
Earth blew their
blasphemy."
minds.
I
Flat
know
Earth.
this might actually get you fucking crucified.
And again, this is in
For what
Britain.
you're about to
You have they find Roman
propose
villas
as
and
a reason why it gets
It's
trippy as well.
painting. Or get the geofizz out.
Yeah. So if you go to 13 and 10 seconds in the Millennial Reign of Christ video,
Got it.
yeah, you'll see the some examples of this kind of, should we say, distortion of the timeline, right?
So what do you want? It's 12:03. You want 13:10, do you?
13:10, yeah. So let's play it.
so
Yeah.
this is the destruction event, right?
There.
Now, is there a 1,000-year period when Jesus returns? There's this massive destruction event, but it's followed by a 1,000-year period. Well, what happens after the fall of the Western Roman Empire? What do you know? You have a 1,000-year period of time called the Dark Ages. And isn't that just the controller way to do things? Completely potentially invert.
So the Dark Ages is Will Riker
1,000-year reign of
it's a lie.
Christ.
We made it up. It didn't happen. It was never real. None
I
of
thought
this
the Dark
happened.
Ages was just where they didn't have any light.
The Dark Ages is what we have now.
These will be the day. Yeah, Brucey Kippert said gay voice.
By calling it the Dark Ages. And
Donate brave
so
and
roughly
just don't
speaking, the
like
Dark
it.
Ages
Simple as.
correspond to
Yeah.
the Middle Ages.
That's
I
our
think most of the
George.
history we have here is fake anyway. But
Isn't
I
the
am
Dark
aware
Ages the
that
Start Ages, then, if it's the
a
Middle
lot of
Ages?
the timeline has been manipulated. A lot
Why
of
do they
years have
call it the
probably been
Middle
added.
Ages?
Why don't they call the
And
Dark
I know
Ages the Start
we
Ages?
switched to the
Got the Middle
Gregorian
Ages.
calendar, I think, in the late 1500s.
The middle of
And
what?
you also had this phenomena.
Yeah, because I mean, you got
in the-
antiquity, which is the start
You had
of
this
things, and then
phenomena
you got the
where
Middle
for a
Ages,
while,
and then you got
prior to like
things after the Middle
1800,
Ages.
they
Yeah.
were
You
putting
might
an
want to, yeah, you might
I
want to listen
or
to
a
this. It's
J
kind of like important
in
to the.
front of a date, and that I would represent Jesus or Jesus, or the J would represent Jesus. So it would be, the date would be like how much time had passed since the death of Jesus. So what I wanted to point out here is this desk is it's referred to as the King's Desk. And this desk is in the Palace of Versailles, and it was made, we're told, for King Louis.
That's a nice looking desk.
I believe this one was made
It
for
is.
King Louis XV in
I
1769.
found out that Benjamin Franklin
Now the person who made this desk,
made
he
about
put his
8
inscription in there,
harmonicas,
and
these
his
glass
name was
things
Jean
that
Henry
rotate.
Reisner.
What was it,
And,
Hemming?
And when you look
rub
at the
them
date
to
on
make
this,
sounds.
it's a J, 769. So, but when you look at the official history for this desk, it'll say
Is that a sad face emoji?
1769, but this is supposed to be a J. And if you
looks
look
like
at this
sad
Jean Henry Reisner, you look
I
at
think
his
he
birth,
signed it. I think that's his
date of
signature.
birth and death, it's again 1734 to 1806. So you go back here, so they're taking this to be a 1. So when I look at this period of time, I understand that from our current year 0 to now 2020 years, there's probably a good chunk of that has been added.
So the Dark Ages
But
is really the oh fuck ages.
it's still, I think they're probably doing that to cover up
The Dark
this
Ages,
1,000-year
the oh
period
fuck
of time,
ages.
and
Yeah, it's like oh fuck.
a good
We've got
portion
this
of it has
time here,
probably
and
been
I
chucked
don't know
into
what to
this
do with
period
it.
of time we know as the Dark
No,
Ages.
actually, no. It's
So,
far
and
more
we also
insidious
have-
than that.
Okay, what is it?
Right. So what the Dark Ages is the cover-up of what these people are referring to as the millennial reign of Christ, right? So what happened is the Roman Empire fell, right? And then Jesus came back,
Who would want
as
to,
recorded in the Bible.
Which people would possibly want to hide the fact that Christ reigned?
Well,
which people would
certain money
possibly want to
lenders, I
hide
think.
it?
Right. So yeah. So what the Dark Ages, according to these guys, is
According
quite
to
fascinating.
Interdimensional Lizard, it's everything prior to
Yeah.
the invention of the light bulb.
Right. Well, yeah, there's that. But this is the 1,000 years that Jesus, in the Bible of Revelation, it says that Jesus will reign on earth for 1,000 years before the devil is let loose on the earth, and he's to deceive all nations yet again in the short season before the final battle, right? So what they're trying to say is that the Dark Ages is that amount of time that like Jesus literally like lived on earth. And so Jesus was obviously born in the year 0, right? We calculate, we time everything from AD, right? 0, right? That's the birth of Jesus, right?
I know,
So
Dominic.
AD 0.
The modern term CE, the Christian era.
What does
Okay.
Domino mean?
Year of our Lord.
Our Lord.
Andrew Domino,
Domini
yeah.
is our Lord.
Yeah.
So are we
Although in
saying
these times it
that
might
the
offend
AD
people.
the start of AD is the reign
Yeah.
of Christ?
Yeah. So that's why it was called Andro Domini, right? It's the year of our Lord. So 1,000 years reign, right? 0 to 1,000. I don't think it ever got to 1,000, but that's a speculation for another time. But yeah, so 1,000 years of like what Jesus reigning on earth. And that is what the Dark Ages have become now. So when we say that 1,000 years have been missing from our time, it may not be 1,000. It may be less than that. But there seems to be a missing amount of time between the fall of Western Roman Empire, the second coming of Jesus, he came down, because even in the Bible in Revelation, if you read it, he says, your generation shall not pass until these things have come to pass, like the fight, basically Armageddon, right? So Armageddon happens. Jesus comes back, fights the wars. Rome is destroyed, like, evil is vanquished, whatever. And then Jesus basically does the first resurrection. I have to get into that to another time. That's a different thing. And then the 1,000 years happens, right? And then what happens is the devil is let loose again, and nations are deceived. And that's probably wars, famine, whatever, right? Is let back into the world. So that is the end of the Dark Ages. Is actually like when we have been deceived from. So if you get my saying, that's what they think is actually happening here.
So, fall of the Roman Empire up until the medieval era was the reign of Christ.
Yes, that's what some of these people think now. Yeah, there's quite a few Christian people who believe.
Makes sense because the
what
Normans were absolute bastards, and we know the elves.
No, Normans
bankrolled
didn't
them.
exist. Normans were just made up, Hobbit. That's the thing when you realise this. Most of these
Yeah.
people were just made up. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Played the Jonathan Fox clip. We made this shit up.
I still don't like the Normans because they were bankrolled by the elves.
It's fine. They don't exist. It's all right, Hobbit. They never
They just
existed.
made it up.
Yeah.
None of it's real.
Yeah. William the Bastard that never invaded England. But then that does make what is English, and it kind of does screw with what are the nations then?
Yeah, but what if those like English, which you can see they got a Norman nose, and like I'm not thinking. There's two people that come to mind actually. One of them's James May.
Yeah.
But the other
Brucey
one,
Kibbets is getting a bit worried. Can you confirm, Fraser, that he exists?
Who?
Brucey Kibbets.
Brucey wants to know whether he exists or not.
Yes, you exist. I believe in you.
How do you know it's not just like an AI asking if he exists? Maybe the AI is looking.
Maybe that is, yeah. Maybe that's
Maybe we need human verification, otherwise it doesn't exist. So, Brucey, until you prove otherwise, I'm going to say I'm not sure.
Right.
I'm sorry, mate, but I haven't got any definitive proof you exist.
Yeah. So whether you're like a secular, whether you're an atheist, or whether you're a Christian,
until Brucey sends us some money, we're just not going to know he exists, are we, Hobbit?
Yeah.
Remember, chairs and microphones for racists never went away. It just they haven't bothered shilling for it.
Yeah. So whether you're an atheist or Christian, it's not really matter. There seems to be a period of time that seems to have been either made up or completely is distorted, and that seems to be the Dark Ages. I mean, if you want to continue the video, it'll go into a bit more detail of like more examples of these like I-734 AI.
But if you are an atheist, why haven't you grown up?
Yeah.
These mile markers. Yeah. This is for Boston, and just
you
another
understand
example.
The final battle is
the I-734, and here's one eye. Here's another eye. Here's another eye. So it's after Jesus, after Jesus. Clearly an I, not a 1, but we would be told this is 1734. So the calendars are heavily manipulated, but so we have the destruction event worldwide potentially, and we have this 1,000-year period potentially. Now, the next thing I want to talk about is something called fervent heat.
And this will back up
so
into
if we go
what
back
we were
to
talking about before
the Bible, there are some other verses that talk about what's going to happen when Jesus comes back again for the
in the day of the Lord
the second coming,
as a thief in the night,
just before this 1,000-year reign.
The heavens shall pass away with a great noise.
Verse that
the elements shall melt with fervent
the Lord
heat.
will come as a thief
and the
in
earth
the night. So
also,
when he returns,
and the works that there
the heavens will pass away with
up.
a great noise, and
there
the
was
elements
talks of
shall melt
fire.
With
there was all those sort of fires
heat.
In the 1800s, weren't there?
Fervent heat,
like
things
buildings
melting.
made of
Where
stone
have we
on
seen
fire.
That? Well, Turkey, right? I think this is Cappadocia, but everything appears to be melted. Here's a good shot.
Oh yeah, and then you got the buildings.
It's
and
just something has happened
all
to
of
the
that looks
rock,
melted.
and people
Have you
felt the
got
need
those
to
houses carved into the
hide
cliffs in Crete?
potentially in these
I
structures.
don't know.
And I believe this
Let
is
me
from
see if I can
Turkey
find a
as
picture
well.
of those, because
And I've got one here.
my dad was always on
this is
about when he
from
went to
Petra.
Crete and he saw those houses. He said
And
if an English
you could just see
stonemason
this
from
area here looks like
1700 carved
entrances have
that,
been covered up.
he'd have believed
But
it, because he said it
something
looks
happened,
it looks
and it's
the same
curious.
sort of
The Bible
style
talks
of
about this fervent heat,
Crete's
which is going to
cliff stone houses. Let's see if I can.
cause some significant
brings up
damage. The
pictures of
elements
it.
shall melt with fervent heat.
My internet is going
So
slow.
that's an interesting tie-in. Now, this is where, for me,
Right.
as crazy
Okay,
as
you
this
can
is going
end
to
it there,
sound,
Hemi.
and it is,
Oh, right, that's going too far into
Yeah.
what you want to talk about.
Yeah, that gets into the trippy stuff. I don't know if you're ready for that. I'm not even ready for that yet.
Oh, that's for another time.
That is for another time. Sorry to do a beta. We'll get back to that one.
Fervent heat, isn't that some sort of drug habit?
Fervent heat. Not that I know. I'd have to look on Arrowwood. Can't find any images of cliffside houses in Crete.
Ian went
Well-
on a lads holiday to Crete and shagged the girl from Hull.
Yeah, it's funny how you go on holiday.
Is Ian Scuggy's dad?
It's weird how Scuggy. You should come on the show next time Ian's here.
Ian created a little Scuggy.
We need to get Scuggy on next time Ian's on and just say
Do
we've
the
got a special guest.
surprise. Ian, you went on a holiday to Crete and shagged the girl. Here's your long lost son.
Got Jeremy Carl is here as well with the paternity test. Apparently, Jeremy Carl likes to suck on his golf balls, and that's not a euphemism. That's what he plays golf, and then when he's done playing golf, he picks up his golf balls and he sucks on them.
Okay.
I thought it was important that our audience knows this fact, just in case. I didn't want somebody going to the grave not knowing that Jeremy Carl sucks on his golf balls.
We used the donkey. Yeah, but she put a hole in it. But you don't know, Ian.
Isn't it weird? Go on a holiday to shag these birds, and they're just like, "Where are you from, them Hull? Oh, that sounds exotic."
Okay, so I've got one more video to show you guys. If you want to put in the last one, the Scorched Earth video, Hemi. Found it another interesting. So when we're talking about missing time, everyone's like, "Oh well, we've got these strata layers."
We've got Professor Brian Cox.
Yeah.
Brian
Exactly.
Cox
Brian Cox
told
will
us.
tell you what's right, won't he?
Yeah.
He'll tell you.
Isn't missing time a mystery?
Uranium.
Where did it
Isn't
all
history
go?
amazing? Just believe what you're told, kids.
Yeah, just
There's
like in the
more-
Sahara, right? When where all that sand came from, and all
There's
these.
more missing calendar dates in the Vatican than
You
my
can dramatically lower
mum's
the
eating
chances of a burglary
dates.
by protecting
There
your
we
home
go. There's
with
a
a very
Brian
short.
Cox view.
That's annoying. I don't need you.
This Fortean Words is brought to you by Very Sure. We're very
What even?
sure of what we're talking about.
Very sure they're not racist. They just don't like him in your
Smart
house.
alarm.
They're not racist. They just don't like him in your house.
That's it.
Probably channels that know what they're going to talk about.
Oh, my
minutes and
YouTube
23
recommendation is
seconds.
getting
Their
worse and worse
thoughts,
because
taking the
because you're
anxiety
interested
out
in
of
La
the
Palma
recording.
volcanic
I'm
eruption.
not one of those
Do you want to see
creators,
this
but I do
this
have a
desert
few
wildlife
subjects
live stream from the
picked out for us
Namibian
today.
desert? No,
And
no, I
most
do not.
importantly, the subject will deal with the mud flood.
Oh yeah,
Very
La Palma's
grassroots
still
What some
around.
of
this
these
community.
things have happened?
One of the starting points for
Well,
this.
there's a
Who
theory.
rabbit
got into
hole.
a massive
I hope
tizzy with
you're
the
all
Easter
doing
Island
well.
statues?
Thanks for joining me, and welcome.
Out of curiosity, the one wearing the hat, that looks a lot like the style like the Hasidic Jews, the ones which
Yeah.
give you heartburn.
Oh, a bit. It could be a bit like.
Oh, you got the wrong bloody video, Hemi. It's a Scorched Earth
Buried
one.
Past. That's what.
No, it's the is it the Scorched Earth video? That's not
sorry,
the
that
right
is
one.
our Buried Past. Sorry, wrong one. Scorched Earth. Oh, Scorched Earth. Yeah.
Yeah, it's at the bottom there. Yeah. Go to 2 minutes and 22 seconds. So yeah, so we could be sure, right, that science isn't lying to us. That we've got some scientific way of verifying where our data comes from, and we can definitely, those dinosaurs were found under
Science on
X amount of sand, right?
the science on
Therefore,
sedimentary rocks is settled.
yes, supposedly. Well, this might
Aren't
surprise
rocks
you.
amazing? Wait, what point?
2 minutes and 22 seconds.
All the twos. Oh, three
Yeah.
looked up. 2:23. There you go.
Yeah. Right. Okay. Right.
They found
play it then.
3 Roman ships, and they were buried 7 meters, so approximately 23 feet.
I didn't want them anymore.
Why I find this to be of interest is because there's also another one of
Why
these
don't they turn
open
into
pit
petrol?
coal mines in, I believe it's west of Cologne, Germany. Now, as they were removing all of the sand deposits that was on top of the coal they were looking for, they ended up finding
Oh, that's
a
right. I
Roman
remember watching
aqueduct
something about this
underneath the
this week.
sands, and it's this horizontal black
That's
line
it,
in the
sand.
image on the left.
Where
But
did all the sand come
yes,
from?
it's just really interesting.
Fucking
And you've
sand,
got,
how does that
this
work?
is just an image of it in profile.
Does anybody know?
This is the aqueduct here.
Isn't sand amazing?
So
It
you've
is.
got these
It
two
just covers up
different sites,
history.
one in Serbia and the other in Germany, and they're both in these open pit coal mines that they find these Roman artifacts. And I think the one on the left, the aqueduct, they said it was the Romans intentionally buried it underneath all of this sand.
What, with shovels?
All of this sand. It seems very an impressive feat. But
Fucking-
over
Oh,
here
we're
on
done
the
with
right,
it
I
now.
think
Let's
they
just
said
bury it.
that the
No wonder the
Danube
Roman
River
Empire was
caused
fucked. They had
these
like
Roman ships to be
thousands of
buried.
men just covering over
So,
fucking aqueduct.
it's just
What the fuck?
I'm thinking it's one event that caused
Hey,
all
so
these
maybe
layers of
that thing,
sediment to be
like,
deposited.
I don't want to get political,
my
but
view
like
at
the
the moment,
Romans were
but I just
busy
wanted to-
covering up evidence of their crimes, right? What if, and I'm not saying this is true or not, but what if there was another group of people what had an empire, and they were busy covering up their crimes by burying the evidence,
Yeah.
and they lost a war because of priorities?
Yeah.
Sort of add these
Yeah.
two
I'm not
things
saying
to
this is
these.
what happened, but I'm
And
saying
they
what
find all
if?
kinds of things in these
Right. Here's the
open pit
most
coal
important
mines,
part.
and,
Right.
they find these tree stumps that aren't even fossilized. And I think I'm just showing Mount St. Helens here on the left, because with regards to Mount St. Helens, you had rapid strata formation. And I believe like one of these layers was formed in 3 hours. And you can get multiple levels to the strata all within a period of 2 years. So when they're telling us
Isn't
this is
geology
like 7 million
amazing?
years for all of this to form and the coal deposits, but these layers of sediment, they could be
Right.
put
Okay.
down
Paul, you
in
can.
a short
Right. So the
period of
takeaway
time.
from this
Pause,
is
because-
right.
Yep.
Geological Earth movements and these strata formations are not concrete evidence of being X time old, right?
Mm.
So when we say these buildings like the Colosseum and Roman Pompeii and that, they could have been buried in a matter of years, but we wouldn't know about it because, again, our worldview is saying if X amount of soil is stratified, then we will basically end up with that equals X million of years or thousands of years, right? That's how the deception's kind of going on. So when you say you find dinosaurs are like bones that are buried like 20, 40 meters under the ground, that's not 60,000 years or wherever. It's not a woolly mammoth. I think they actually found a woolly mammoth in that coal mine actually under those Viking ships or whatever it was, the Roman ships. They found woolly mammoths another 20 feet under them. It was like, okay, so how long have they been there? That would have been 10,000 years ago, right?
Yeah.
That could have been fucking last Saturday for all we know. It's just the Earth at that point had filled up in a couple of hours, right? This is it. This is we can't testify to actual this geological kind of dating of of time, because, well, if a volcano in 2 years can bury, as you can see in that first picture of Mount St. Helens, that's done in 2 years, a 2-year period. And in the 80s, right, and we've got recorded evidence of this, then fucking who knows how old certain things are,
So let's
right?
say it was Vesuvius that covered
Yeah.
near the Colosseum. So are we
Or
saying that people moved back into Rome in the 30s? Is that what we're saying?
well, that's the thing. It's like all this like mud and like it was left there. It was like it wasn't used, right?
Mm.
Like it was just left in its current state until very recently, like in the
Yeah, I
last
mean,
100,
because
150
if you
years.
follow the official the official story of history, you've got to
Yeah.
believe that the Colosseum was there and they just left it to rot.
Yeah.
Nobody
Yeah.
maintained
No
it
one
or
maintained
anything.
it. Yeah.
Yeah,
Exactly. Why would you let perfectly good buildings
especially when
go
it's
into
right in the
disrepair?
center of your city
Yeah.
as well.
Yeah. The Roman Empire fell apart, and what did everyone just disappear?
Mm.
No, there would have been those people around to still maintain it, right? They wouldn't, just because they've been conquered by the Visigoths or whatever, they'd use those buildings, wouldn't they?
Well, surely the Visigoths would
Right.
maintain it,
Yeah,
wouldn't they?
or even them, right? But they
Whoever's
would have maintained
occupying.
them at least. Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. But supposedly, people disappeared or moved on, and it let it like accumulate mud.
What do you think, Hobbit? And that's what Hobbit thinks.
Yeah. Thank you, Hobbit. Fascinating, insightful, brilliant. Blow my mind, Hobbit.
So yeah,
He's gone for his shit. He's gone to
But-
clog some toilets.
but this rapid stratification is something that you never hear happening,
Nope.
isn't it?
Nope, because it breaks the narrative, doesn't it? Because then,
Yeah.
if that can happen, right, then
Okay,
then
so we
all
can
these
explain.
dinosaurs buried,
We can
then
explain
they
it.
could be
We can explain Italy. St. Helens. Where's that? What country is that in?
St. Helens is America,
Yeah.
I believe. Yeah, in America, yeah. So
Interdimension
any
Lizard said.
active volcano, right, that's active, could literally bury.
So how do
like,
you explain England's mud flood then?
Well, this is it. We don't really know. There could be, again, the liquefaction event is most feasible. You can see this happening in other countries like South America. There's video evidence of like basically the ground opens up and like
Like a
all this
sinkhole
mud and
type of
water.
effect.
Yeah,
Yeah.
either sinkholes or sinkholes are kind of the opposite. These are more like literal mud just comes spewing out the earth. Like it comes spewing out and just like lays on top of whatever was there. And that potentially could be
Either that or the Romans only built their buildings
Yeah.
in dips. Yeah.
well, could build straight roads, but couldn't build on anything higher above sea level. Okay. Yeah. So that it's either liquefaction, even volcanic eruption. We don't know. Like, there are long dormant volcanoes in Scotland, and in like even in England. All the land was volcanic at some point. Like there's
Yeah.
if you understand how the tectonics what's happening in like places like La Palma at the moment, like there's pressure from underneath the earth is like moving or in a certain direction, like causing these volcano and island chains to be formed.
Yeah.
So at some point that's got to have happened in the UK, right? So but that they say that was thousands of years ago. Well, how do we know that? So that's
Isn't there supposed
thousands,
to be like a
millions
whole?
of years ago.
Isn't there supposed to be like a whole town
Yeah.
that's sunk underneath the? Is it somewhere near the Isles of Scilly near what's that near Cornwall, isn't it? There's supposed to be like a whole sunken village around there somewhere, isn't there?
Well, some people even say that the Mediterranean once wasn't a sea; it was a basin.
Yeah.
That had like villages and things on the bottom of the Mediterranean Sea. So yeah, it's kind of like you
Hobbit's
can't
definitely
really tell.
plugged that toilet. How long he's taking?
I know, man. He's causing the mud flood right now. He's
The
fucking
Oxford
clogging.
Oxford clogger's done it.
Yeah, the bathhouses are being filled as we speak.
So, is there any more you want from this video?
No, that's it. That's
Yeah.
basically to say, look, right, okay, so we can't trust science to give us an accurate like reading on time. The places that were Roman that still look Roman, to this day. You know, why is everyone copying the Roman architectural style throughout all of time? Like that's all anyone's ever tried to do, really, isn't it? Copy
Yeah, yeah.
Rome. It's weird, and it's kind of like it's fascinating. This like our obsession with copying what the Romans did. You know,
Mind
in
you,
that
the
style.
Roman column is like how chavvy
Yeah.
people express that they're classy, isn't it?
Yeah. I guess that's right. We're just the chavs.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of weird that the Roman architecture is still about. Where is that fucking Hobbit gone?
Hobbit. Is he died? Is he died of fucking?
Where
He
is the
fell
Oxford
asleep.
clogger? Plug in some more toilets. So do you want to do some unexplained mysteries?
Go on then. Go on, Emmy.
Let's see what we got in unexplained mysteries.
Oh yeah, wasn't Unexplained Mysteries the thing you sent me as well that said like they were complaining that people are talking about how Rome didn't exist.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
so I thought that was kind of cute. When I saw that, yeah, I was like, okay. It's like
So we got
even the unsolved mysteries people have limits, right? And to what you can explore before you're considered too
uh, Elon
unorthodox. Should we
Elon
say.
Musk is to start testing chips in human brains next year. Is this the mark of the beast? Do you think?
I don't know. I've always thought the mark of the beast was more biological, like a degrading of the human, like wow, body, soul. I always thought it would be that. That would be more the mark of the beast because then it's a permanent thing, isn't it? It's basically not something you
What? So you
implant.
think the mark of the beast will be like a fucking Monsanto logo when you keep swapping into your new cloned bodies, like in The Seventh Day? Do you remember that Arnie film, The Seventh
Yeah.
Day? You see that?
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
Sixth
That
Day,
was
sorry,
kind of.
Sixth Day.
Yeah. Have you ever watched Altered Carbon as well? That's kind of.
I
That
haven't
was
watched
kind
that
of
yet.
good. You need to watch that. Yeah, it was pretty like.
Or was it
trippy. It's like,
Avatar? Do you remember that one? What was the one where people lived through their avatars? I can't remember what that was called.
oh, the Bruce Willis thing. Yeah. Oh,
Yeah,
what was
yeah.
that called? Yeah, I remember that. Oh, what was it called?
Okay.
That was a good film.
So it could make possible to. I'm just skimming through this.
Yeah.
It can make possible to enhance the human condition, providing powers that could range from superior vision to the ability to replay memories inside one's head. I don't think that's a good thing at all.
Oh yes. Yeah, I'm sure some people want that, right? Yeah,
What do you think to the more mundane things like they think it could help people who've got locked in syndrome or paralysis?
yeah, if it can help people like that, yeah, I wouldn't be against technology doing that, to be honest.
I
But
just wonder whether it'll end up
it's the
like
ethics of it, like yeah, like are you going to like? Because I mean, if it's abusable as well, like so someone could
yeah.
hack into this thing and say it's someone who's got some kind of like it's been implanted to repress memories, right? So say someone who's been abused in like some
Well,
kind of
they're not
like
worried about
grooming gang or whatever.
They're not worried
Yeah.
about hacking your car to cause a car accident. They're not going to be worried about hacking your
Yeah.
brain to cause a fucking spasm or something, are they?
Well, I mean that'd be
seizure.
how easy it is. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. If it could do that, yeah. But yeah, you no longer the CIA would need to like cut your brakes, right? You just
Yeah, just cut your
send
brain.
a EMP to your brain, yeah.
Oh
You
no,
probably
it must have been part of a faulty batch. However,
Yeah.
Musk recently hinted that human testing is likely to begin as early as next year. I mean, who's gonna fucking? I know some fucking soy-faced fucking libtards are gonna sign up to it, aren't they? But Jesus,
Maybe Elon Musk should test it first.
yeah. I mean, he
While
can't even
on his
sort
way
out
to
the
Mars.
batteries in his cars. I mean, he wants the equivalent of a fucking 3-day fire in your head. So the first step towards testing in humans will require getting the FDA approval. However, Musk seems pretty confident about this. Yeah, because obviously, it's CIA fucking like Mr. comes out of nowhere, becomes a billionaire. It
Yeah.
kind of Elon Musk reminds me of. Do you remember that character from is it Die Another Day, the James Bond one?
I haven't watched that in a long time.
Oh,
So
do
you
you
have to,
remember
like...
do you remember the one with the North Korean that gets the DNA therapy, so he becomes the Rupert Everett?
No. Oh no. What?
Yeah, there's this like experimental DNA therapy thing. So like the
Transgenderism, basically.
yeah. So like a North Korean.
Transracialism, whatever it is.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's like a North
transracialism.
Korean general or something. He becomes like this dashing like British guy. But yeah,
Okay.
the thing with that is like yeah, I think that was basically my point. It's yeah, transracialism.
Interesting.
But yeah,
What's that?
that's the point. The Rupert Everett character in it just appears out of nowhere, becomes a millionaire, but it's because he's really North Korean and he's got all this.
Oh, by the way, you're
control.
not showing the audience the page.
Oh yeah, that's kind of looking at me thing. I'm in a different browser. So what else we got in? The animatronic Tyrannosaurus Rex has got a Christmas jumper at the Natural History Museum.
Fucking hell.
How about this one? Icy Lake's Star Wars sound a bit outlandish. Spark outlandish alien base claims. Do you know about this one? Steamboat Lake in northwestern Colorado has inadvertently become the focus of bizarre alien conspiracy this week, all thanks to an audio clip posted up by Colorado Parks and Wildlife. The short tip contains a recording of some very strange sounds that were picked up at the lake. The peculiar audio, which is likened to the sound of blaster fire from the Star Wars movies, is actually produced by the ice as it shifts due to temperature changes. So people have been saying, yeah, because ice does make some strange sounds, though, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does.
Because it can sound like steel cable stretching as well, can't it?
Yeah, yeah, it does. Yeah, yeah. So people have just been like, "Oh, it's aliens," you know. Sounds like Star Wars, therefore Luke's come to save her.
Yeah.
Oh God, those Jedi fucking guys who believe George Lucas was a prophet. Oh, a field day with that. They'll be having a fucking seance up there.
What's that? Do people think he's a prophet then?
Oh, you not heard about that shit? Like, some people actually believe that like George Lucas was a prophet and everything that happened in Star Wars actually happened.
It's recycled myths, though, isn't it?
Well, yeah, but these people believe it. It's real.
You seen Dead Man is Found Alive after night in morgue free.
Ah.
Oh, there you are.
Hello.
Yes, I'm here. Family reasons. Yes. Now, I'm glad you're talking about George Lucas because you know that thing about the Jedi and the Egyptian priesthood called the Jedi.
Nope.
You know about that? Somebody might not know about it, so I just want them to know about it. The Egyptian priesthood of the Jedi were the secretive order tasked with covering up. Well, they did the same things the Jedis did about not having emotions because being an autist makes you have superpowers somehow. And
It's
the other thing
it's the next stage of human evolution. Have you not
yeah,
seen the
that's
Predator?
it. You see, yeah.
Have you seen the Predator?
If you're just coldly logical, then you have superpowers because Jedi and Vulcans and
have you not seen Rain Man? He was really good at math.
Yeah, that's it. And the fact is that the Jedi are a secret ancient society. What are covered for?
Well, they weren't that secret. George Lucas.
Well, yeah, except I just mentioned them. They are a secret society.
That's it. No longer a secret organisation. I'll be well done.
They were a once secret society.
Thousands of years. There you go. You've wiped it away in a second of it.
So they were a once secret order tasked with covering
up the fact doxed all over the place.
That were tasked with covering up what's his name, Jerry Nadler shooting himself.
Yeah,
that's what they did. That's the dark side of the Force, apparently. Yeah. Missing time, eh? Where does all the time go when?
Hobbit, if I tell you the story, can you guess what country it's from?
Okay.
45-year-old Dave Smith. I'm making the name up because I'm not going to make it that easy for you. Who sustained serious injuries after being hit by a motorcycle in Smithstown, Maida, was rushed to a private medical facility where he promptly pronounced dead by a doctor. The emergency medical officer examined him, said hospital superintendent Ken Jones. He did not find any signs of life and hence declared him dead. After the police were notified about his demise, his body was placed in a mortuary freezer to await a post-mortem analysis, which was scheduled to be carried out the following day. When his family arrived to initiate the paperwork for the autopsy, however, everyone was shocked to discover that Dave was in fact very much alive, spending 6 hours in the morgue. What country do you think that's from?
So, like, I want to say it was. Oh, you know what? My first guess was India, but then I thought, no, it
Correct.
doesn't really.
Correct.
Oh,
Your gut
yeah.
was 100% correct.
Okay, so I always learn to trust my gut, and I thought, well, I'm going to say India, but the thing is, I really want to say Botswana. So
I was going to say Turkey, but
maybe next year.
Well,
next year.
I said it because what country is it always? It's always
It's-
fucking India, isn't it? Three-headed
maybe,
child, man with like 8 legs.
wait, what? They got 3-headed children in India?
Probably 2-headed. I don't think I've seen
Oh,
it
okay.
3-headed.
No, that's...
Never. I can deal with the Mandy posting, but I'm not being around for Jedi docs, and they will fuck me up. I've never told any of my Mandy stories on this show before, so no. But no,
Did we do this one about the cow in Brazil that escaped and went down a water park? Went to a water park and went down the slide.
Oh, I think I did actually. I meant to cover that because it was like, oh, that's one of those stories we definitely have to go. Oh, we're doing unexplained histories, are we?
Yeah,
Can I
yeah.
see if there's Botswana news so I can say this happened in Botswana?
This week in Botswana.
Just like fucking,
Botswana.
just type in India and it's fucking. I bet it's just filled, wouldn't it? You look up Botswana, I'll look up India.
Oh well, okay. So
70-year-old woman gives birth to healthy baby in India. CIA team reports Havana syndrome symptoms in India.
Oh yeah. Are you the short?
Dozens killed by a lightning strikes. World's largest hieroglyphs. World's largest geoglyphs discovered in it. What's a geoglyph?
Rock. Yeah, it's made out of rock rather than paint.
Oh, unfortunately, Botswana news is all talking about.
Do you remember this classic, Hobbit? Doctor pays $41,500 for a wish-granting lamp.
Oh yes, I do remember that. Was a good Indian news story.
That was a doctor that paid for that. In case you didn't know the story, Fraser.
Fucking hell.
Iron Man balloon sparks alien scare in India.
Is that
Pakistani spy pigeon is captured by police.
Unfortunately, it seems all the Botswana news is related to. There's a new Transformers film out.
Oh,
they're talking about the Decepticon called Omicron.
Oh, is there?
Yeah, so
Indian university to teach doctors about ghosts. A new 6-month course will instruct doctors how to treat patients who believe they're possessed. Remember, they're going to come over here and they're going to treat you.
Oh, nice. When can I get treated for possession?
Yeah. Bhutvidya mainly deals with psychosomatic disorders.
I'll ring my GP tomorrow and ask him. Yeah, I'm being possessed.
I'm gonna pretend this is a BBC Pigeon article. So the headline says, "This is from Mimigi Online, Botswana Prime News. Fight COVID-19. Don't forget HIV." Oh, I thought it said don't fight HIV. Sorry, it's not as interesting as what I thought it would be. It is a consularity article from Botswana. BMW hijacking accused plead not guilty. Oh, well, you're free to go then. 2 men, one a and the other one from Zimbabwe, called Fabani Muyo, and a local Jabulani Kizili of Bluetown pleaded not guilty for the offence of robbing a person of his BMW 1 Series car on Monday.
How interesting.
Yes, they're not guilty.
So that's unexplained mystery, is it?
The unexplained mystery of, well, who did steal the BMW 1 Series car then? Oh, it's another Rhodesian accused of human trafficking, and he's got dreadlocks. Who does he remind me of? Did any of you play Max Payne 3, and you're up against like this guy who kidnapped?
No, I only ever played the first one.
Oh, okay. Well, there's a guy with dreadlocks in it, and he's really annoying, and he kills like a load of people you're supposed to protect. And I didn't like him very much.
Oh shit!
And,
Vampire bats now have taste for human blood. Researchers in Brazil have warned some vampire bat populations may have started targeting humans.
Hey, we
Nice.
just got somebody to do the BBC Pigeon for us. Chippy Clips. He's gonna do it for us now. BBC Pigeon.
Yeah. Man burns down his house to stop vampires. Don't laugh. Has he got any vampires in there now?
Yeah. See, I don't see any vampires here.
Yeah. No vampires in there now. Vampire slaying kit goes up for auction. You seen this one, Hobbit?
Hemi, this article I've got for you here, you'll be like, I can't believe this is not India, right? Kebab sticks the Alma Bubs. I am the head man of Bubs now. Look at me, I am the Bubs.
Fire Ray played it twice and can't remember anything about it. It must have been really good one.
Oh, what, Max Payne 3? Max Payne 3, you're in Brazil. You're basically paying an average American in Brazil who teach them about guns and democracy.
Gun safety.
Yeah. And darky Brazilians, I believe they call them Zambo, are kidnapping
Are they the ones that don't go out in the
family.
sunlight? Or are they the ones that Brutus doesn't let go out in the sunlight?
That's the one, yeah. They're the ones that look dark no matter what. They kidnap the family you're protecting, and a lot of them end up dead. So you decide to have a trip down to the favela to kill a bunch of locals because, LOL, you know, whilst in Brazil, might as well scalp a few of the locals. And then you end up with the police, and then you end up in this place, and you find, oh no, the roundups from the favelas are going to this place for organ harvesting, and that's what's happening. And then, like, oh yeah, your family, you're still doing revenge for them, so you machine gun a bunch of guys, and the cops are corrupt. Who'd have thunk it? There you go. I've now told you the story word for word.
Dead to Rights was that game I was trying to remember the other week. The one where you have the pet dog.
Oh, okay. Well, that
Remember
narrows
that
it down to quite a few games.
Ex-copper, framed, where you got a pet dog. And it can rip people's throats out and stuff. Nick guns and stuff like that. Robin, are you there, Robin?
I'm still here. I'm just a bit drunk.
Have you heard about this absurd conspiracy theory that claims the Roman Empire is a hoax? It's preposterous.
Well, it's a woman that said it.
Is it? Is it a woman?
Therefore, opinion discarded.
Yep.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't say who wrote it.
I hope this is not a thing that in 5 years.
This rather strange claim comes courtesy of TikTok history enthusiast @Momlennial. Oh God, that's an awful name.
She's a woman and her opinion's discarded.
She's not only a woman, she's a millennial. That makes her fucking double opinion discarded. Whose conspiracy theories have proven to be somewhat divisive, to say the least, on social media. The root of her Rome denialism lies in the false claim that Roman archaeological sites are misinterpreted and that Rome was in fact a hoax perpetrated by the Spanish Inquisition. Well, nobody expects the Spanish Inquisition.
I mean, you know, A for effort. But here's a real mystery, right? So, I've said this before. I'm sure I've said it before, but I'll say it again. Geordies and Rotterdammers have the same accent, just they talk different languages. Also, the Dutch are scum. Now, the other one, which really surprises me, and I want to know what's the common ancestry here. Greeks and Spaniards, same accent. Like, the only difference is I, as someone who doesn't speak either language, can go, well, they're talking Spanish and they're talking Greek, but it's the same accent.
Yeah.
So, how about them apples?
Oh, it is a blast from the past. Indian state introduces ban on black magic. It's from 2013.
Banning on blacks is just racist, India.
Yeah.
You got to get over that racist legacy that Mahatma Gandhi gave you. That's just wrong. Blacks are just as valuable part of India as Indians are.
Oh, has anyone ever seen this story? This is from 2013 as well. Previous mind control research has enabled brain-to-brain communication between rats, but it's believed this is the first time such a system has been successful with human subjects. The remarkable experiment was conducted by Rajesh Rao and Andrea Stocco, who created the whole thing on video. Who captured? I don't know why I said created. Captured the whole thing on video. Rao was equipped. That wasn't even a Freudian slip. It's just that's the word that came out. Rao was equipped with a special cap filled with electrodes that were hooked up to a machine capable of reading electrical activity in the brain, while Stocco sat the other side of the campus with a transcranial what
Easy
the
for
fuck
you
are
to
you
say.
on about? A transcranial magnetic stimulation coil placed over the region of his brain responsible for hand movement. For the experiment, Rao would look at a screen and play a simple computer game that involved firing a cannon, but instead of actually pressing a button, he instead imagined his right hand moving to do so. Across campus, Stocco was unable to see or hear the game, felt his hand moving in correlation to Raoul's thoughts, a sensation that he likened to a nervous tic. It was both exciting and eerie to watch, as imagined action from my brain get translated into actual action. That was actually how it was written. Get translated into actual action by another brain, said Rao. This was basically a one-way flow of information from my brain to his. The next step is having a more equitable two-way conversation directly between two brains.
That's nah. Why would you want that?
Chat's revolting, by the way. They
Yeah, they always have to.
said "fuck you, Hemi." Not all millennials. Hashtag. I
Some are
can't
really
speak.
cool and stuff.
I can't
Name
speak
all
for
of
the other.
them by a Ray. Name
Yeah.
one of them by a Ray.
Hobbit. There's
I'll
one.
bet. Oh,
Yeah.
you're a millennial. You were dirty.
Yes, I'm a millennial. I just about. Well, let's not get too specific here, but yes,
Yeah.
I'm Generation Y, as in Generation Y.
Is Capstan like full millennial? Is he?
Actually, that's a good point. Is he millennial or does he come into Zoomer territory? Hang on. No,
we might do.
No, he does count as millennial, but he's late millennial.
Yeah.
So I'm early antiquity. He's late
fucking
antiquity.
peak millennial. That boy is.
He's when they start like allowing Germans into Rome. I'm when Rome was pure and strong.
Yeah, I was just whatever's before Rome.
Oh, Casimir's definitely a Zoomer, yeah.
Yeah, he's peak Zoomer.
Which, as far as I understand it, is the youth speak for bum boy.
I don't think they call them bumders anymore, do they? They're just femboy. Isn't he? I always thought he was a femboy.
Well, that's the new term they got for bumders. But
yeah,
have you ever like met or know of a Zoomer that is not homosexual?
Or at least
no,
or at least open to it.
Yeah.
I'm just having a look. Oh dear. Tipped off by finding orange tape used to secure cables on top of a beaver dam, technicians seeking the cause of disruption to the TV and internet service in the remote Canadian town of Tumbler Ridge found the rodents had dug down more than a metre to where the cables were buried and had chewed through them in several places. Predictably, a spokesperson for TELUS, the internet provider, described the incident as a very Canadian turn of events. There weren't any dildos involved. That would make it totally Canadian, wouldn't it?
But I was going to say what's worse, Canada or Sweden, but I don't know.
Oh, fucking hell,
Maybe
Capstan.
saying about, like...
The Fortean Times have doxed Capstan. Bristol resident Capstan is campaigning for a new country to be set up in Britain, with Bristol as its capital. Capstan, 79, wants the West Country Sussex and Essex to be united as Saxland, based on the region briefly ruled by King Egbert in 824. He wants to combine London and Kent as another country and leave the rest of Britain as it is. He sees this as an answer to the current London centrism. Capstan stood for MP in Bath on his platform on the 2010 election, but got the fewest votes of any candidate in the country.
I wonder why that went all wrong.
Yeah. Researchers have found that bees are attracted to plants laced with caffeine, and that the substance makes them more focused, motivated, and efficient at gathering nectar. They believe this could help save at-risk bee species and improve crop fertilization.
So, like, I don't really understand how bees and well, does it just strike you as like bees are very tired? By the way, the builders came in at 8 a.m, which was good of them.
Did they actually do something?
Yeah, well, they decided that was a good time to throw all the slate tiles off the roof.
Have you heard about the TikTok
bees
time
strike-
traveler?
Well, no, we did that before. I wanted to ask about
right.
bees. Do they strike you as being like not the same as other insects?
Fucking bees. How do they work? They seem more they seem more like they're like the dog version of insects, aren't they?
Other insects creep me out. Ants I'm ambivalent to, but bees, I don't mind bees. I quite
Is it
like
the name
them.
because they're called bumblebees? You automatically kind of think
But
they're harmless.
Bumble humble,
Harmless.
but honeybees, even honeybees are a bit different. But bumblebees are like some of the nicest creatures I know. I mean, I've met rabbits more vicious than bumblebees, and I'm not kidding there. By the
Well,
way,
that's because if
rabbits
they
do
do
like to bite.
actually attack you, they die as well. It's like
Well,
segregating
rabbits do like to bite people when they're scared. So
How about this one? There's a bit in the latest Fortean Times about the GIMP wave. That's not Hobbit's new musical style. It's something else. Somerset. Do you remember the Somerset GIMP man, Hobbit? We used to cover it on Grub and Glory, I think, didn't we? Do you remember the guy that used to wander around in a GIMP man? Didn't he get a shoeing off someone in the end?
Is he like the one who, like, at the start of the Ching Chong Chinky Cough thing, he's like, oh, he's wearing a
No,
mask.
this was before that. This was like the year before that. Do you know? Didn't he get a shoeing off someone? I thought he did.
Oh man, I'm glad I'm doing this. Whilst you're doing that, I thought let's see if I can find any spooky stuff. I know we've done Rendlesham Forest, but do you want a thing about like a link of the oh my god, here's an accurate audio recording of military personnel encountering a UFO on face in the Rendlesham Forest. I don't know why it says on face. Shit hits the fan around 14 minutes in, so I'm going to copy that link over to Fortean General, and well, this is only 5 minutes long, so that's not the right thing.
What fucking Discord?
What the fuck?
Okay.
Oh, thanks, 4chan X. Really, really good quality stuff there again.
Please listen to the geezer himself.
always
I think Bjarki wants me to play the Cannock Chase Bigfoot. I do actually want to do, Bjarki, I do want to do an episode on Cannock Chase because there's a lot more to Cannock. You know about Cannock Chase, do you, Fraser?
No, actually.
It's basically like fucking Erie and the TV series, the Erie, Indiana. It's like weird as fuck. So I think I might. There's like there's UFO sightings, Bigfoot. There's supposedly a werewolf, like everything in Cannock Chase.
Let's go.
Cannock
Do
Chase in Staffordshire. So what's this, Hobbit?
It's not a Rendlesham Forest. It's
Hobbit,
just
are you
some
traveling
Russian.
in time?
You asked me
Is
that.
that why it takes 10 seconds after I ask you a question?
It's no. It was something to do with Rendlesham Forest, but then I clicked on a link. It's like this has got nothing to do with Rendlesham Forest. The video is only 5 minutes long, so it's not even 14 minutes.
Oh, okay then. That's completely.
Maybe I can find the actual title because
That
the
says something
title
about Russia.
Yeah, I know. Well, Phil.
So anyway, I was talking
about
about gimps and stuff. So police in Galveston, Texas, had better luck when they received reports of a man dressed as a Halloween film villain, Michael Myers. Did anybody see this one? Complete with mask and blood-stained knife, walking along the beach in the early stages of the Hurricane Nicholas's landfall in the area. Arriving at the beach, they arrested the mask wearer, lawyer Mark Metzger, and charged him with disorderly conduct. Metzger said he did it for a little bit of positivity in the gloom and doom. Adding, it felt a bit like a scene out of Scooby-Doo after they handcuffed me and pulled the mask off. Like I would have gotten away with it if it weren't for those meddling Karens, he said. So in April, the New Forest was haunted by someone in a gimp suit. Hampshire police were looking for a naked man wearing bondage gear after someone described simultaneously as being naked as wearing bondage clothing, boots, and a green rucksack. Was spotted in the early afternoon near Bolton's Bench, a beauty spot close to Lyndhurst. Unsurprisingly, the police said our officers conducted a search of the area but unable to locate the individual. What? Locals, meanwhile, speculated the individual was filming content for OnlyFans, a subscription website where people can commission bespoke film clips, often sexual, from amateurs in return for cash. Oh, yeah.
It wasn't
Oh, yeah. I
always
want to
that
see you
way.
dressed as a gimp in the New Forest. Oh, yeah.
Does Naked Martin do OnlyFans, or was he before OnlyFans?
No, yeah, he used to do WhatsApp commissions, didn't he? In
Oh,
early
okay.
September, motorists driving along the A343 in Highclere, Hampshire, were treated to the sight of a man wearing nothing but a latex gimp mask and standing in a lay-by watching traffic. He was just staring at the traffic like a horror movie, and then when we drove past again after turning round, he was running off, said motorist Craig Upton from Andover, who called the police after sighting the naked man and seeing him escape into the woods beyond the lay-by. Well, he's obviously a sex case, isn't he?
Yeah.
So yeah, and then there was the Claverham, Somerset one, which we used to cover quite heavily.
Biarki mentions there's no bumblebees in Australia. One of the things I miss about my previous job was when painting and routing and other bits of woodwork need to be doing, nobody would go into that room except me because, oh no, the bumblebees, you'll wake them up. And yeah, whenever I opened the door, about 10 bumblebees would start floating around in the room, and some of them would land on me, but I never ever got stung once.
Well, they're not going to sting you unless they have to, because they can only use it once and they die, don't they?
Yeah.
Like pulls the guts out of it, doesn't it?
The other thing is, like, with honeybees, you might have like 5,000 in the nest. With bumblebees, there's only about 20 or 30 of them, so
Yeah.
they're not going to sting you without good reason. And it seems me just opening the door, what happens to be just above their nest, wasn't enough reason to agitate them. It was enough to make them fly around, but it wasn't enough to, like, we're going to attack you.
You heard about this duck that can say, "You bloody fool"?
No.
You bloody bastard.
You bloody bastard, innit, mate?
Fuck you, bloody.
Fuck you, bloody, innit, mate?
You bin chod.
You Ben Chode. What's your name? It's Ben. Ben Chode, mate.
Yeah, that's it.
What else is in the Fortean Times? I'm just having a look. Animal attacks. In Barcelona, Colombian singer Shakira was attacked by a pair of wild boars in a city park. The animals grabbed her bag and headed off into the woods where they shredded it and destroyed the contents.
Okay.
Berlin and Rome have had boar incursions. In May, a woman in a Roman supermarket car park was surrounded by boars who ripped her bags from her and rooted through the content. And the mayor has complained that the opposition politicians are using the boar invasion to score political points against him.
Fucking hell.
Oh shit! Yeah, do you remember that one earlier? Was it earlier this year? Or in the dude the nudist in Berlin, and the boar nicked his laptop.
No. What?
Yeah. There was a nudist. He was working on his laptop, and this fucking boar come pelting out of a bush, nicked his laptop, and ran off with it. So there's a picture of a fucking naked bloke running after a boar with his laptop.
Fucking hell, man. Only in Germany, right?
Yeah. In Anchorage, Alaska, it's otters that are going on the offensive. During 2021, there have been frequent attacks on people and pets by river otters in several popular outdoor areas near rivers, creeks, and lakes along the city's greenbelt, with a 9-year-old boy being taken to hospital for rabies shots after being bitten several times by otters near a duck pond. The same week, a woman was bitten while rescuing a dog from a pack of aggressive otters, and another dog was also bitten. River otters are not usually aggressive, and Alaska's Fish and Game Department is investigating whether the attacks involve the same group, as they can range over large areas. So if they aim to track down the offending animals and relocate them to an area where they won't come into contact with humans and their pets.
Hey, as wet as a knot's pocket.
Yeah. We all done? Any more for any more
Yep.
Hobbit?
Yeah, I think we're-
I'm spent.
I'm spent.
Was it as good for you as it was for me?
Yeah. Bumblebees are so damned goofy, lol, says Biaki.
They really are great creatures.
Yeah, Biaki, I am gonna use that thing, but I think I'm gonna do a Cannock Chase episode because Cannock Chase is one freaky fucking place. So right, is that us done?
I
You're up.
Remember.
Stay spooky.